review game with some cards and die, and then if you don't have cards and die, you just need your graphing calculator and do kind of a random number generator. So get your graphing calculator out if you don't have that. If you don't have either of those, just you're just going to make up numbers and do one of each type of question. Okay? Six sides. Okay, good job. So first of all, I'm going to talk about setting up the equations using cards. So this is kind of like box card or one-eyed Jack's math book I read many years ago, and I used to do this in Bermuda all the time when we didn't have a curriculum. And we're doing this for group work because I'm not comfortable doing group work right now with maths and stuff. So instead of group work, instead of listening to me talk all the time, let's do something different and fun. So take advantage of this and get rid of your Xbox. This is way more fun. You're going to just be using graphing calculators. You're probably going to just chuck your systems on the curb. Okay, the first thing we need to know is that red card is negative and a black card is positive. And I say that because when you're in the red in the business, that means you owe money. So you're losing money if you're in the red. And then we have cards from ace to 10. Ace is 1, 10 is 10. What do you think a jack is worth? 11, queen, 12, king, 13. Okay, so that's your numbers for the face cards. And we're going to first draw a card. Okay, so obviously podcast people can't see me. But I did jack of clubs, so that's positive 11. So I write down 11x. Okay, so the first number I have, I write down the x in front of it. And the second number I choose, jack of hearts, is negative 11. It doesn't have an x. Okay, so we're going to have two binomials. That's my first binomial. I'm either going to add it, subtract it, or multiply it. So the next thing I do is roll a die. I got a 3. You know what? I'm going to make it easy. I got a 1. So if I get a 1, I add it. So 1 and 2 means add. If I roll a 3 or a 4, that means subtract. And if I roll a 5 or a 6, that means I multiply and I FOIL my two binomials together. You don't need to do anything right now, you just need to listen. Okay, so then I'm going to do cards again to get my second binomial. Ouch, that one hurt that card. That's 7 of diamonds and jack of clubs again. So negative 7 plus 11. Sorry, negative 7x. So keep your x on the first term of the binomial every time. Just add an x there. So now I got to collect like terms for that one. If I rolled a 3 and a 4, I would do 11x subtract 11. Well, I got that from here. Subtract negative 7x plus 11. And then I would distribute and collect like terms. If I rolled a 5 or a 6, I'm going to have my first binomial, 11x subtract 11, times my second binomial. And I'm going to FOIL. Okay? So that's how you get it. Just a second, please. Let me just talk, and then we're going to do some examples. That's how you get your equations, and then you're going to, quiet please. Then you're going to add and get an answer after you collect like terms. Okay, like here you get 7x plus 5. This one you get negative 2x plus 3. This one you have an x squared part. 5x squared plus 3x plus 2. And then you're going to add them up. So let me just finish this off. So how you're going to keep a score is you're just going to add all your coefficients together. So in this case, what do you get? You get negative 77x squared, 121, subtract 77. Oh my goodness. Is that what it is? Let's do that. 121 subtract 77 plus subtract 121. And your first two rolls, you're just going to add the numbers that you see. Okay, so you're going to add negative 77, negative 34. We're going to work on our numerical coefficient stuff a little bit, or A, B, and C. And I'm going to ask you to add A plus B plus C. So whatever numbers, coefficients that you see on x squared or x's or numbers, you're just going to add them together on your calculator. That's going to be your first score. My first score you see on the board was -7. And I'm going to do this twice, okay? So right now I want you to set up your equations and get an answer after you add or collect like terms, or subtract and then collect like terms, or FOIL and collect like terms. This, of course, is all on your quest tomorrow. And let's see if you can set it up. Oh, sorry, I haven't. Most of you don't have cards. So this is how you guys are going to do it without the cards, okay? So get your graphing calculator out. You're going to press the math button.
Get these calculators.
Math button. Pardon me?
I just wanted to GG. I'll be there.
Yeah, I would think so. Then go arrow to probability. So math probability 5. And then you're going to put -13, a negative king, to a positive king. Okay, so I got 5 here, and I got -13. No, don't put subtract. Comma is right here, above the 7, and then 13. And it will give me a random number between -13 and 13. If it gives you 0, just ignore it. I don't want 0, because if we FOIL a 0, then we're not doing anything. We're doing no math, okay? So ignore anything, you get a 0. First one is 10. So in this case, if I'm using my computer, this is what this would be, 10x. Then I'm going to press enter again, plus 13. That's my first binomial. Now the third one is going to tell me whether to add, subtract, or multiply. And I've written down on the board here, 1 to 4, positive, negative, is add. 5 to 8 is subtract, and positive, negative, 9 to 13 is multiply or FOIL. Okay, so the next thing I do is I get -6. So is that add, subtract, or multiply? -6. That's subtract. And then I press the numbers again 2 times. So -6x subtract 10 is my second binomial. Okay, so that's my question. I have to do the answer. Then I have to add up the numerical coefficients to get an answer. Okay, so put your hand up if you need help. It's going to be fuzzy right now, but the more we do this kind of stuff, you're gonna do it pretty quickly from now on. But this is going to be the fuzziest we're going to be on these computer things. Okay, podcast people, you're doing a second one now, so you should have one answer by adding numerical coefficients on whatever binomial or trinomial you got. Now do it again for your second number. Same thing, hopefully get a different operation, and add up all the numerical coefficients. Pretend I asked A plus B plus C, but obviously if it's negative, it can't be A plus B plus C, right? I'm just getting you familiar with your A's and B's and C's. So this is working on numerical response. This is not a numerical response question. Okay, for the next, so those are the first 2 rows. Sorry, I'm just talking to the podcast now. The middle 2 rows, you're going to do A plus B subtract C. So you're going to do the exact same thing, but your C is going to change. So it's going to be the same numbers that you see, except for C is going to be the opposite sign that you see. So instead of adding -121, you're going to add +121. Okay, so middle 2 rows do the exact same thing, just add the opposite sign that you see for your C, your number, your constant at the end. Okay, so if you're not done for, there's a lot of people that are done for, so let's talk about your last 2 rows. Your last 2 rows, exact same thing. You might add, subtract, or multiply. but now we're going to change the signs for everything. Okay, so whatever sign, whatever trinomial you get, or binomial. By the way, if you get a binomial, so this one would be 16x plus 23 for this one. What's your a here? What's your number in front of x squared? Good. So don't forget a equals 0. That can help you for some numeric response questions. The tricky ones is what's a, b, c, and if a is 0, anything times 0 is 0. So make sure you know that there is no a squared here, so a is 0. But in this case, we're just adding them. You would just 0 plus 16 plus 23 if you added them all up. So now for the last two rows, you take the opposite signs of what you see. So here you would add up negative 16 and negative 23. Okay, for your last two rows, add up the opposite signs. Again, we're just getting used to finding A, B's, and C's. And then we're going to have some prizes at the end for your scores. Once you have 6 numbers for the 6 questions, add up those 6 numbers together. And I'll record your numbers on the whiteboard. The 3 winners. This time was the lowest score, Ty and Mitchie, the kid. And the winner, gold medal specialist Margarita for the sportsmanship award. All right, we did that to review for your quest, which is on multiplying polynomials. You need to know all of that, adding, collecting like terms, subtracting, distributing, collecting like terms, and multiplying, foiling. You also need to know more than that. Superfoil, everything we've done on page 1 to 19. Now your homework tonight is your practice test on pages 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. But there's only about 2 or 3 questions on each page. It sounds a lot worse than it is. I think page 19 is only 1 question. So that's due tomorrow. I'm making you study. We'll look at it tomorrow. That's your review, second review assignment of the year. And that needs to be done as soon as you see me tomorrow. We also have math help tomorrow. And that's pages 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 on multiplying. Right now we're going to go to page 20. So get your handouts out and go to page 20 and go. Okay, so we're going to start the factoring part of these polynomials. Starts with you doing 4 more blanks. So go ahead and do these questions and give me an answer. And that's more studying for tomorrow. Page 20, please. So do those 4 questions. And everything from pages 1 to 19 is fair game on the quest tomorrow in your polynomials handout. Today we're on page 20. This is not going to be on the quest. Everything we do today from now on is not on the quest. It will be on the test in about 10 days or so. Another 90 seconds. Those should be your final answers. Check, 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 check. Okay, some thumbs up. This part of the unit, we're going to go from the blue to the green. So the questions tomorrow are the green questions on your quest. you're going to be getting rid of brackets. We are going to start creating brackets, so you're going to get the answer and go to the question, if you will, from what we did the first half of the unit. Now we're going to do the reverse, the opposite process. We were expanding, now we're factoring, we're creating brackets. I just want to mention, so this is, write this down, so this will be a GCF factoring. This is going to be a sum product, so S/P. This is going to be a decomp, because it has a 2x squares, decomp. Sorry if you can't read that, decomp. And this is going to be a difference of squares, D/S. You're not going to understand what that means right now. We're going to get to them lesson by lesson, but that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going from the answers that you get tomorrow to the questions. Okay, it's the reverse process of expanding. We're going to start to factor. Yep. Quickly, yep. Okay, so next thing we're going to do. Oh, but by the way, I want to talk about this. Remember what I talked about. You cannot get this question wrong or even half marks on it tomorrow. This question takes 8 seconds tomorrow. You need to put x squared subtract 25. Sometimes I see students add the 5s. Remember, arrows mean multiply. But this is 8 seconds, 2 out of 2, just like those long 9-arrow questions are out of 2. You have to get the easier questions full marks, or very close to full marks. Okay, so make sure you're really concentrating, not flying through these. Make sure you're concentrating and getting full marks for the easy questions as well. Okay, so we have the opposite process. We're doing factoring, we're doing GCF, and we're going to write on this on the bottom of the page. This is a grade 5 or 6. We're going to start with GCF, okay, which is the greatest common factor. So find the GCF. And the GCF, we're going to start with the smallest number. It's the opposite of what your brain thinks. Greatest common factor, you kind of think you start with the greatest number. No, you don't. You start with the smallest number. Now let's just talk about what you did in grade 5 or 6 or 4, I don't know. If you have the factors of 12, there's your factors of 12. And then you have the factors of 18. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. And then you circle the biggest factor. We don't have time to do that anymore. Okay, so that's the GCF of 12 and 18, 6. But if you look at it with this green question, it makes no sense to give me all the factors 250,080, because 1 times 1, 2 times, sorry, 1 times 4, 2 times 2, these are the only factors of 4, and one of them has to be the GCF. So I'm not going to worry about the big number. I'm going to worry about the small number and go through the highest factors to the lowest factors. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with these GCFs. We're going to start with the smallest number and go down. I'm just going to put, and go down from their highest factor to their lowest factor. That's going to help you start this. So let's do A. Let me use a different color. We're going to find the GCF of 2 and 8. Okay, well, they both sound right. 2 and 8 are both good answers. They sound right, but they're not. One is the GCF, one is the LCM, the lowest common multiple. You need to know that the GCF, you start with a small number. I like to underline it. And 2 is the biggest GCF it can be, 2 or down. So here is 2 times something equal 8. Yes, GCF equals 2. 2 is a factor of 8. Let's do 12 and 16. Let's go, bud. So 12, the highest factor of 12 is 12. So does 12 times anything equal 16? No. So you go to the next factor of 12, which is 6. Does 6 times something equal 16? No, what's the next factor 12? It's actually 4. 4 times something equals 16? GCF equals 4. Okay, so that's how we're going to do GCF. We're going to do them mentally in our head. I want you to do these ones, 3 and 9, 18 and 24, 10 and 25, F, 36 and 12, and G, 12 and 18. Okay, so go ahead and do those. I'll give you 3-ish minutes, not that much time. And start with the small number. Start with the smallest number and go down from highest factor to lowest factor. Okay, GCF. Let's go blue. So everyone write down GCF equals, so you make sure you don't, this isn't the LCM. Okay, you have to distinguish between those two concepts. So this is GCF. Is it 3? Is 3 times something equal 9? Yes. Good job. GCF. 18. 18 something? Nope. What about 9? 9 times something? No. Nope. What about 6?
Yes.
GCF equals 6. If you put 3 or 2, that's a common factor, but it's not the greatest common factor. And a multiple choice, that wouldn't help you. You wouldn't get any marks because you're going to have a wrong answer, not the best answer. So GCF for this one is a 10. What is it? 5 is correct. GCF is a 12. Go down. No, don't go down. So if you don't know if it's 12, then do your calculation. 36 divided by 12. Oh, it is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. You might not know that 18 times 3 is 54. But if you have 18 and 54, you better do 54 divided by 18 to make sure it doesn't divide evenly, because it does. It's not 9. The GCF is 18. So if you don't know if 18 times something equals 54, punch it in your calculator real quick. Don't assume it doesn't, or you'll not get those harder ones right. So this is 12 times 3. You didn't get it right, who cares? Now you know 12 times 3 is 36. And this one, everyone?
6.
Good job. 6 times 2 and 6 times 3. So that's GCF work, number part. That's harder than the variable, the letter part. So let's see what I mean here. Go to example 2. And you're going to find the greatest common factor of the numbers and the variables. And the variables are very easy. The greatest common factor is the lowest exponent. Write that down. The lowest exponent of x is the greatest common factor as long as all the terms have an x. Okay, that should make sense to you when we talk about example 2a. So write down GCF equals, and we're doing 12 and 15. So that one's 3. And now we do the a's. What's the lowest exponent of a or a squared? A. What's the lowest exponent of b? B or b cubed? That's it. Now that should make sense to you. You're taking an a out of both terms. Well, this one only has one a, so you can't take more than one a out. It only has one a. So that's the most you can take out. That's why it's the lowest exponent. Okay, how about this one? GCF. First of all, if you have a negative number, take out a negative number so that your numbers will match your multiple choice answers. Okay, so take a negative number out. And now 18 and 24, is it 18? No. Is it 9? No, close. Is it 6? Negative 6. And then what's the smallest exponent? Everyone, x to the 4th or x cubed? Y squared or y to the 5th? Y squared. This one only has 2 y's, so you can only take 2 y's out of both of them. And that's the common factor to both. Now, if this one didn't have a y, you can't take a y squared out, because this doesn't have any y's. So it has to be a common factor. That means it has to be a factor to both or 3 or 4 terms. Okay, you have to take an a out of every single term, otherwise a is not a GCF. If the term doesn't have an a, then a isn't a GCF. Okay, go ahead and try C and D, please. Compact this. Find those GCFs of those terms, please. Ready to record first. Make sure you remind me if I don't do that. GCF, what's the number? Is it 1 or 2? Well, it's the lowest exponent, or lowest number. You don't need to write down a 1, but don't put 2, because you can't take a 2 out of this. There is no 2. Okay, smallest exponent, A. Can I take out a B? No, this one doesn't have a B, so I can't put B as the greatest common factor. If I put B as a GCF, that means they all have a B. Every term has a B. Okay, and the lowest exponent of C, everyone? C squared. Check. So don't put a B there, because this term doesn't have a B. All right, this one is negative 10. Smallest exponent of A, everyone? I can't see. There we go. A squared, thank you. And smallest exponent of B, everyone? Good. Okay, so the letters are the easy part. The variables are the easy part. The numbers, you guys have been working on those for a long time. Just make sure you take the biggest one. Okay, next question. You just have to understand that this is the GCF. So write that down. These blanks, no thank you, are the GCF. So you're taking the GCF of these two terms and putting them in the blank. Okay, so what's the GCF of 14 and 21, everyone? 7. And can I take an X or a Y out as a that's a GPS. GCF? No. No. You can only if you have both X's or both Y's. No, there's nothing. Now, when you do this, you should get that. That doesn't necessarily mean you got it right, because if you take a 4 out and the GCF is 8, you're not going to get it completely right. But it's a good check so you don't miss an X or a Y. Okay? What's the GCF here? I'll let you answer it in about 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you get the shot off? What'd you get? 5x squared. And again, if you do that, you should get this. Now, I'm going to let you notice here, if you take out a whole term, like this whole term is 5x squared, and that was the GCF. If that happens, and it'll happen occasionally, you have to put a 1 there. You can't leave it blank. If you start with 3 terms, there has to be 3 terms in the bracket after the GCF. That's good to know. That will make you put the 1. If you don't put the 1, it's wrong. You don't get your 5x squared if you don't put the 1. You'll get the first 2 terms, but you won't get the third term. You got to put the 1 there. Capiche? Capiche. Next page. Let's go to page 21. You need to know what these words mean. Sum means addition. Difference means subtraction. I know you know it, but put it anyway. And what does product mean, everyone? Product means multiply. Quotient means division. Whenever we get there. It says a polynomial, like this binomial, can be factored by a process called removing. This should be factoring. Factoring. What the heck? Called factoring by removing or taking out or dividing out the greatest common factor from each term. That's weird. So before, tomorrow, you went from here to here. That's going to be getting rid of brackets. From now on, after the quest, we're going to create brackets and get an answer which is the reverse of that. Okay? So we're working on a reverse process or an opposite process. But write this down on your important information page. Not for tomorrow, but for the next one I check at the end of the unit. That find the GCF is always the first step. Even when we do sum product, you got to take the GCF out first if you can. If you're doing difference of squares, you can't do those 2-steppers unless you take a GCF. Okay, so it's very important. That's why we're starting with it. Okay, greatest common factor, it says together. I don't think so. I think you're doing this one on your own. So find the GCF of these three, please. See what you learned about the numbers, starting with a small number and going down from highest factor to lowest factor. And the variables, lowest exponent of the variables is a GCF if there's variables in each term. It has to be common to all of the terms, not just 2 of 3 or 3 of 4. It can only be a GCF if every term has one. And once again, 7 looks right and 14 looks right. What's the GCF? Is it 7 or 14? 7. Anything else? 1 muchacho. And they both have an M, so you can take one M out of both of them. This one, talk to me. 3x or x squared. Smallest exponent. And that's what you need to know. This one is B1, is C1, C squared is 1. Good. Okay, so that's quickly, we're doing GCF, 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 GCF. Now, we're doing this by putting the GCF there and the GCF there. Okay, GCFs go in front of the brackets. So here we're taking the GCF of 12 and 24. Well, is it 12? Yeah, it is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. Can I take an A out? Nope, this one doesn't have an A. Can I take a B out? Nope, this one doesn't have a B. So just a 12 out, and you should get that. Now, most of the time, we take numbers and letters out. So if you're taking numbers out all the time, you're going to lose most of your marks. Okay, most of the time, we're taking numbers and letters out. You can't just take a number out every time. You're doing 1/3 of your work. That's not good enough. Sometimes, like in this one, sometimes you take just a number out. Okay, let's do this one. What's the GCF of 4 and -7? Is it 4? No, 2? No, 1? Yeah, it's 1. So you don't need to put 1. You can put 1 if you want to. Is it P or P squared? P. Good job. Smallest exponent. That's it. You go ahead and do compact disk. See. All right, let's do this one. What can we take out of these terms? What's the GCF? Just an X or a 1X. Good. Can't take a Y out because they both terms do not have a Y. And this one, there's your 3 terms. What's the thing you can take out? 5x or 5x squared. This one has no X, so you can't take an X out. It has to be common to every term. Okay? Next page. Almost done. Okay, now we're going to get the bracket part of it. Okay, so this is the GCF, which we'll put in front of the brackets. Now, how do we figure out what goes into the brackets? There's 2 ways you can do it. One way is you can divide each term by the GCF. So if you divide this by the GCF, which is 3a, and this divide by 3a, that will give you each term that's in the bracket, this one and this one. Okay, so this one, 3 divided by 3 is 1, and a squared divided by a is 1a. So that's how they get that one. Or it should make sense, you had 2 a's, you took out 1a, you have 1a left. Right? So that's the one they did for us. What's the X one? What's 15 divided by 3? 5, and a divided by a is 1. So you just put a 5 there. That's one way to do it. If you like that way, do it all the time. The other way to do it is simply just saying 3a times a is 3a squared. Now, 3 times what equals 15? 5. That gives us the 15, and then we have an a, so we're done. Okay, so you can either do it the division way or the multiplication way. It's the same way. It's the same thing. Whichever way you like better. So this one, your GCF is 10. So we divide this by 10, divide this by 10. What's 20 divided by 10? 2. Did the p's cancel? Nope, I need to put a p right there. Okay, so don't forget the p. If I want to do it the multiplication way, it'd be 10 times what equals 20p. 10 times 2p gives you 20p. Make sense? Okay, your turn. You can either do the division way and divide everything by 3x squared, or you can do it this way. What times what equals that and that? Okay, try on your own that question. Good job, good job, good job. Just leave this record. Let's just do one other question at a time. Remember to divide the numbers and subtract exponents. Or you can say, for this one, you can say I had 3 x's and I took 2 x's out. Okay, you should be able to figure out how many x's you have left. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And I just said I had 3 x's and I took 2 out. So I have 1 x left. So that's the first term. And then negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. And I had 2 x's and I took 2 x's out. They cancel. If I get 2x subtract 3 in the brackets, perfect. Or you can do it the other way. 3 times 1 equals 6. 2. You need an x cubed. So x times x squared times x is x cubed. 3 times 1 equals negative 9, negative 3. And I need an x squared, which I have. Okay, your turn to do this one. Here's your terms. I'm not going to do anything besides that now. See if you can figure the brackets, what's inside the brackets. Either the division way or the multiplication way. What times this equals this, and what times this equals that. Looks like you guys are staring at me pretty good here. Okay. If you divide this by the GCF, you get the whole term. What happens when everything cancels? And the reason why I talked about that last question, what do you need to put here? You need to put a 1 there. You must put a 1. You can't leave it blank. You can't put 0. Has to be 1 times this equals what I just crossed out. Good. And then the next one is what? You divide this. What's 8 divided by 4? 2. And then AB. If you check this, this times this equals 4a squared b. That's what you want. And this times this equals 8a cubed b squared. That's what you want. Get it? Got it good? Any questions on that? I'm assuming you just put your hand up. Okay, this is what the questions are going to look most of the time. I'm not going to give you fill in a bracket or fill in a GCF. I'm going to ask you to do everything. Okay, so this is the question that you're going to need to know how to do mostly. Number 6. Sorry if you didn't get that. So equal signs. GCF first. What's a GCF? 6 muchacho and 6 nacho cheese. 6. Bracket. Factor means create brackets. So you can divide these by 6, or you can just say 6 times what equals 6m. 6 times m gives you 6m, and 6 times what equals 6n. Or you can just cancel those and you can see you have an m plus n now. All good? All right, one more, and then you're going to do 2 on your own. Let's do B. What's a GCF? Let's do the numbers first. 7 or 49? What's a GCF? Good. Start with the small one. Bracket. Why? Because this doesn't have any x's or y's, so x's and y's can't be a common factor. Now, divide this by 7. What do you get for the first term here? Everyone? XY squared. And then what do you get for 49 divided by 7? Plus 7. All good? Okay, your turn. Do C and D, please. We'll crack tomorrow. When you're done that, you can work on your practice test for about 3 minutes. Otherwise, we're done and ready to go for the quest tomorrow. This is not on the quest. Everything on pages 1 to 19 is on the quest. God bless an awesome day.